You know, failure is one of those things that nobody ever talks about. Let's talk about it. Let me share a story with you. This is going back about 9-10 years ago. This is at a point in my real estate career where I have literally, for lack of a better word, destroyed my business. I went from being on top of the world to one day waking up completely exhausted and my business stopped existing. I wasn't making enough money and I had a choice to make. I either had to quit, which I never wanted to, or I pick myself back up and get back on that horse. The horse was a much better idea. So then I had to do some research online. Because the one thing I didn't want to do is go back to cold calling. I just hated it. It's what burnt me out. And I started researching what the best entrepreneurs, influencers were doing. And of course I came across Gary Vaynerchuk. Essentially, that guy saved my business. He made me realize that what I was doing was completely out of date. I'm trying to think back what year that was in. Somewhere around 2009, 2010. So going back 9+ years approximately. And I came across his Wine Library TV. Back then he had it hosted on Vidler. And I remember watching, just recently I remember watching one of his videos, and he says if he were to turn back time, he would have started posting all his videos on YouTube. But it was Vidler back then, I remember. I don't think these guys are around. Vidler. Huh, look at that, they're still around. I don't know, maybe they're doing something different. Whatever, looks like it's the right one, whatever. Let's get back to the story. And back then, it was uncommon to hear of real estate agents using video to create content, because back then everything was still old school. Pick up the phone, pick a street, start dialing for dollars. But doing that activity is what burnt me out. I hated waking up in the morning knowing that I had at least a couple of hours of cold calling ahead of me. I was hung up on, people were rude, most people weren't home. I felt like I was literally wasting hours every day. Sitting there, wasting. I felt like life outside was happening. I'd look out the window, look at all these people, they're living life, and I was stuck here dialing and listening to answering machines. That's literally how it felt. I remember feeling extremely unproductive, like extremely. If people would actually answer the phones and they knew who I was and I can have a normal conversation with them, I wouldn't have minded. These people didn't know me. I had to explain myself. And because they didn't know me, they felt like they could say whatever the heck they want to me. And I knew a lot of the times they were lying, but I don't blame them. They just didn't know me. And something had to give. Okay, back to Gary. So I was watching his Wine Library TV videos, and in there he set up a camera just like this, and he sipped wine, and he talked about wine. And that really gave him a lot of publicity. But he was persistent. When I started following him on Vidler, he's been making the Wine Library show for a little bit at that point in time. And I started paying attention to what he was doing. And the question I had was, how can I implement what he's doing in the real estate industry? Is it possible? Does it translate? Will it work? How will my local market react to a real estate agent picking up the camera and talking? Nobody was doing this, like nobody. And I said, well, let me dig in a little bit further. I did some more research online, and I did come across a real estate agent who actually was using video for a little while at that point in time, and his name is Ian Watt, and he's out of Vancouver in Canada. I loved his videos. His videos were simple and very captivating. He did what Gary was doing, but he put the camera inside the car, and he just did market updates in downtown Vancouver, and he did his daily, just like Gary Vee did his daily as well. Both of them have the same sort of setup. One's talking about wine, one's talking about downtown Vancouver. I'll give it a shot. So off I went. I hit record on the camera and I started talking. I'm gonna share something with you, but don't tell anyone. I failed miserably. Yeah, I did, because I made a mistake. What I had done was actually started creating content like Gary and Ian. However, I still had the old school mentality of a real estate agent. And the mentality went something like this. I'm number one. Want to call me? Can I help you buy or sell? Give me a call. Yes, I created content, but the content was wrong because I was talking about myself. After all, why wouldn't I? I opened up the local newspaper and what did I see? Agents saying, I'm number one, this is how many homes I sold. So I tried to duplicate what I saw in print onto video, and I just ended up talking about myself. Biggest mistake ever. But you know what? It was the best mistake I've ever done. And it's no secret, I say this quite often, I make a ton of mistakes, like a ton of mistakes. The one thing about making mistakes is I am not afraid to make mistakes. Truly, I'm not, because if I see something and I think it will work, I will attack it head on. And if it doesn't work, at least I know, well, that didn't work. Let's try this. I've always had that kind of attitude about business and life. I figure if I don't try it, I'll never know if it works or not. And I'm okay with that. My wife told me that if I die first, on my tombstone, she's gonna write, honey, I have another idea. That's just me. I always have ideas. But I have a question for you. Show me a successful person that hasn't failed more than the average person. Probably won't happen. That's the cool thing. Failure always leads to success. There's no such thing as never playing baseball. You go up to bat and you hit that grand slam. No, you fail quite a bit before you can hit that grand slam. I failed quite often, but it always led to success. So after about 2 months of uploading videos, I deleted all my videos, I hit record again, and I did everything completely different. And that's when traction started. People started reaching out to me. It was within the first 2 months, if my memory serves me right, where I got my first email from a first-time buyer saying, hey, can you help me buy a home? I've never spoken to them, and I got paid. I got a commission check from somebody that found me online. I just stopped talking about myself. But this video isn't about that. It's not about how to create content or what kind of content to create or about my real estate career. It's about failure. It's about having the courage to fail, because failure leads to success. When I started my new venture this year, in terms of real estate coaching, I've already made some mistakes, and I'm sure I've made mistakes that I won't realize were mistakes until maybe a year down the road from now. But I'm okay with that, because the key is to just go, to just do it. It doesn't matter about being perfect. It doesn't matter what people think of you. And I find that a lot of real estate agents think they have this image to protect. So if they start, for example, shooting videos, creating content, and putting it online, they may not be perfect enough, and therefore that fear stops them. It's not about that. It's about just having the courage to try, but more so having the courage to be okay with failing. The one path to success is stumbling and having failures. How else are you going to learn? It works the same way with kids. We want to protect our kids. I've told my kids hundreds of times what to do and what not to do. But I know very well I can't say, no, don't do it and expect them not to do it. I actually want them to do it and watch them fail. We see these parents that are putting their kids in bubbles. No, don't say this to my kid. No, my kid can't do this, because they want what's best for their children. Their kids are going to run out and fail anyway. And if your kids don't learn to fail, they will destruct later on in life, because they will never know what failure is. Everything's been handed to them. Their parents were never okay with them making mistakes, so they feel like they can go out into the world and everything will be perfect, because that's the way it was when I lived at home with mommy and daddy. Sometimes when I have a conversation with my kids and they tell me what they're going to do, I don't even tell them, no, don't do that, because it doesn't matter. I want to watch them fail. Now, I'm not talking about big things that will destroy their life. I'm talking about things that really don't make a huge deal in the grand scheme of things, because I want them to fail. They will grow stronger because of that. When they experience failure, that's a different story than me trying to protect and shield them so they never experience failure. Then they will never learn what doesn't work. How did this video go from Gary Vee to parenting advice? Whatever. I'm gonna roll with the punches here. Maybe this video is a huge failure. I don't know. I guess we'll never know. I hope this is making some sense. I'm a little bit tired, but I thought, you know what? Today was a big failure anyway. I got absolutely this much accomplished. Failure is life. That's the only way I can say it. Failure is life. Maybe life is failure? You fail a lot in life? I don't even know if that's an actual saying. I just made it up. Listen, let me know what you think about failure. Not just in the real estate game, the real estate world, but any aspect of life. I want to hear your story. Whatever it is, I don't care. Put it down in the comments section. If you liked my message, let me know by clicking like and subscribing to this YouTube channel. Hit the ringy-dingy bell button. And yeah, one of those days. We'll chat tomorrow. Take care.